All right, let's talk about distance. How do we get it? What can we learn from the Ryder Cup, from Bryson, from all these long drive guys that can really help you out? Hey everybody, Scott Hogan coming at you. We are talking about distance today. So we just saw at the Ryder Cup, all right, the United States of America, they pretty much dominated Team Europe. I think it's safe to say that. It was, the most lopsided victory in history from points wise. And, they won every session. It was never really a contest. And I think the big thing that you saw there is that golf course, while not the longest they play, with all the wind and everything, it did play pretty long in spots. And you saw a team, I'd say the USA team on average, they definitely hit the ball longer. And, they have a better world ranking because I think all of these guys hit the ball longer and they realize that's what golf is. And statistically, if you hit the ball farther, the game is just easier. As long as you're keeping it in play, it doesn't even have to hit the fairway. If you hit it farther, the game will be easier. That's why you're seeing all of these guys, there's a motto, if you're in doubt, send it. That is the motto from the decade guys. There's a group of guys that do statistical analysis and they all say you should send it. If you're ever in doubt, send it. It's not worth it to try to hit it shorter and straighter because you're not always going to be able to pull that off. So you might as well just hit it as far as you possibly can. So you're seeing that motto be adopted throughout the game of golf. And I think it's one that can really help players that are trying to shoot lower scores is figure out how you're going to hit the ball farther, because if you're hitting it farther, you're not going to be hitting it offline. That's also something to help with. So we have the Ryder Cup. We also have the World Long Drive going on this week. So you're going to see all these players out at Nevada, and I've had the pleasure of actually being able to see Kyle Berkshire hit in person. Happened to be in a conference room where he was hitting into a net, but hey, with no warm-up, he was able to put it over 400 yards pretty easily, and it looked pretty effortlessly. And so he was talking a lot about his motion and what you see from him. If you're not sure who Kyle Berkshire is, he's the #1 long driver in the world, and what he does is he starts off his swing, and he basically starts doing these steps, okay? And if you actually watch Bryson DeChambeau swing, when you see him go, you're actually going to see him bring it back, and he gets way onto his right side as he goes. And what these long drivers and these people that are trying to hit the ball far have realized, you're going to notice that all of them work with force plates, okay? Some form of a force plate that is showing how much force they're putting into the ground at given points. And what they're finding as they're doing this is there's something called the center of pressure in your golf swing. So pressure, let's define that first. Pressure is, if I'm just standing here, okay, I've got equal pressure going into the ground. My weight is basically just pushing down. My mass is right here in the center of my body, and it's just pushing down whatever gravity is pushing down. But if I start to push down with a foot, now I'm putting pressure into the ground. And when we actually kind of add up between the 2 feet, what the pressure is in your swing, we get what's called the center of pressure. So let's say I'm starting off, I'm here, I'm 50-50, I'm just standing here. My center of pressure is going to be right in the middle. But as I go back, what we see is, we see that center of pressure start to shift. And what we see from the really, really long hitters is that center of pressure moves very rapidly, but it also moves a long distance. It doesn't stay very centered in their body. What they're doing is shifting off and through, and that's helping them generate power. So what you see a lot of long drive players do, and you saw Jack Nicklaus did it. I mean, he was one of the longest hitters back in his day. You see Bryson do this as well, is when they make that backswing, you're actually going to see that lead foot come off the ground. That's because they're trying to get all of their pressure back into the back foot. And then what they're going to do is slam on it and let it go. So what I want people to think about is trying to start shifting a little bit and get moving with the club head. It's just like you're doing an athletic motion. We just saw Justin Tucker kick a 66-yard field goal in the NFL. And he talked about how he changed his motion for his run-up, for his longer field goals. And what he talked about was he got back a little further and he essentially started crow hopping in and just getting as much momentum and as much pressure and force going that way towards where he's kicking to be able to generate more power. We want to use this idea of pressure moving and seeing if we can get a little bit more distance. Now, there is a time where it can get a little bit squirrely, right? You might lose the ball a little bit with distance, but again, your goal is to try to work on hitting it farther. Now, we will see really accurate players. They tend to have that center of pressure stay right in the middle, but they're going to be more accurate. They might hit it a little bit more solid, but they're not hitting the ball very far. And what I see from players that are really struggling, what I actually see is their pressure actually moves forward when they bring the club back. They are actually pushing with the wrong foot as that club is going back. So they're going back and they're stuck on this front foot, and then they go through and they're actually moving backwards. That's where you're going to get a lot of issues with hitting it not only short, but you're going to hit it crooked as well. So the thing you want to think about is if you're trying to gain more distance, what you want to be doing is moving that pressure, shifting it. Feel like if you had kind of the center point of your pressure, you want to feel like that's moving a lot back and forth as you're going. Now, a lot of people will say, hey, Scott, isn't that swaying? Well, I don't want to sway. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. This is different than swaying. Swaying is a different thing. Again, a lot of times what I see with people that sway is their pressure is actually on their front foot because their body starts to tilt and this trail hip sways outside of their trail knee. That's when you get into problems with swaying. We're not talking about swaying. We are talking about shifting pressure. I can still keep my body in a good position, shifting my pressure through, okay? And getting it to move as I'm going through a swing. That's gonna help you pick up some speed and be able to then get yourself moving where you're gonna hit the ball farther. If you travel the hole faster, it's easier to shoot lower scores. There's no doubt about that. All right, so with the long drive guys, with the Ryder Cup, with all these tour guys, pay attention to the guys that hit it a long way. Watch their feet. That's where they're generating their power from those legs, working from the ground up. Then it gets into the golf club, and that's where you're gonna start seeing some really good things going on. So working on how your center of pressure moves, that's gonna be a key. See what you can do with it, see how it affects your ability to swing the golf club faster. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Make sure you comment and click that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.